Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the sources you share with us and try to build a shortcut straight to the most essential, actionable knowledge inside. And today, we're doing a deep dive into an absolutely foundational text for understanding success in the modern world. It's Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
It's a really crucial dive, I think, for anyone who wants to get beyond the simple story. For decades, the narrative of success has been, well, it's been boiled down to this idea of the heroic genius, the
Yeah.
person who just pulls themselves up by their bootstraps through pure willpower.
And Gladwell just demolishes that myth. The sources we analyze, especially a great review of the audiobook, frame it perfectly. It's like you're listening to a brilliant storyteller just unraveling these hidden secrets behind why people achieve extraordinary things. It's not some dry textbook. It's really engaging, almost cinematic.
It is. And our mission today is to equip you with that central kind of revolutionary idea that success isn't just about innate talent or how motivated you are. It is profoundly shaped by these unseen forces, things like when you were born, the culture you came from, and crucially, the opportunities that the world just happened to hand you.
Yeah.
We're here to uncover those invisible advantages.
Okay, let's get into it. And let's start with what is probably the most famous idea from this book. It's also probably the most criticized sometimes, the 10,000-hour rule.
Right. It's the perfect place to start when talking about effort. Gladwell's observation was that people who get to a world-class level in music and sports, software, whatever, they tend to have put in roughly 10,000 hours of practice. It's not a magic number, but it shows the sheer volume of effort required.
And the key thing here, which the source material really stresses, is the word deliberate practice. It's not just about showing up for 10,000 hours. It means focused, specific work where you're trying to improve a weakness and you're getting constant feedback. That's a huge distinction.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the examples he uses make the point so well. I mean, take the Beatles. We think of them as this sudden explosion of talent.
Yeah, an overnight success.
But the sources remind us of the grind they went through in Hamburg. Before they were famous, they were playing these marathon sets, sometimes 8 hours a night, 7 nights a week.
Okay.
They basically logged their 10,000 hours on stage, learning how to hold an audience, how to perform when you're exhausted, all before anyone really knew who they were.
And then you have the Bill Gates example. We all celebrate his genius, right? But Gladwell uncovers this just astonishing, almost unfair advantage he had: access. When he was a teenager, almost no high school in the world had a computer terminal with unlimited free access. And he did.
He did. That kind of access was just not available to almost anyone else, no matter how smart they were. So that little window of opportunity let him start his 10,000 hours of coding when he was, 13 or 14.
Wow.
He had years to play, to fail, to debug, all before the personal computer revolution even properly started.
So the takeaway isn't just work hard. It's that, yes, you need a massive amount of deliberate effort. But that effort is only even possible if you get the opportunity to put the hours in.
Exactly. And that's the perfect pivot away from just individual effort and toward environmental luck. Your success, even if you're brilliant, can depend so much on just when you were born. And this brings us to that idea of birth-made advantage.
This is where it gets really counterintuitive for me. The idea of cumulative advantage. That these tiny, almost random advantages can just snowball into huge success stories later.
It's such a compelling argument because it highlights the systems behind success. Think about elite athletes. He uses the example of Canadian hockey players. A completely disproportionate number of the top players are born in January, February, or March.
And why is that? It seems totally random.
It's not random at all. It's structural. It's the system. In most youth hockey leagues, the age cutoff date is January 1st. So if you're born in January, you could be almost a full year older than a kid born in December in that same league.
Okay, I see.
And at 7 or 8 years old, that 1 year is a massive difference in physical and, cognitive maturity.
So just because they're a little bit older, they're a little bit better at that first step.
Precisely. They're a bit bigger, a bit more coordinated. So what happens? They get identified as the talented ones. They get better coaching, more ice time. They make the elite travel teams. And that small initial edge just compounds year after year. They get better resources, more confidence, and eventually they become the best players. The system selected for them at the very beginning.
It really makes you wonder how many talented kids born in October just missed the cut. But wait, doesn't this all feel a bit deterministic? Like your effort doesn't matter if you were born in the wrong month.
And that's the big question the book raises. The answer is no. Effort still matters immensely, but it reframes it. It suggests that effort is most powerful when it lines up with an opportunity. And this takes us beyond just timing and into the much bigger systems, like our cultural legacies.
Right. Which brings us to the next segment, looking at how these external systems can basically program us without us even knowing it. The section on cultural legacy is it's just mind-blowing.
It really is. Gladwell shows with very clear examples how our cultural background can silently shape our habits, our communication, everything.
Okay, so let's use the example of Asian mathematical ability. This is often just chalked up to, a stereotype about hard work. But Gladwell connects it back to something completely different, traditional rice farming.
Yeah, and this is something you have to unpack carefully so it doesn't sound like a stereotype. It's not about some inherent trait. It's about the kind of work ethic that comes from the labor itself. A rice paddy is not like a Western wheat farm. You don't just plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. It requires this constant, meticulous, careful work all year round. It's complex, it's demanding, and it requires intense focus for long stretches.
And the connection he makes is that attitude, that demanding, patient, iterative effort translates almost perfectly to solving a complex math problem. The cultural legacy prepared you for that kind of intense mental labor.
Absolutely. The cultural script for what hard work looks like was already written. And you see another, maybe even more powerful example of this in the airline industry with this concept of power distance.
That's the idea of how subordinates talk to their bosses, right?
Yes, power distance is basically how much a culture accepts that power is unequal. And the data he presents shows a direct link between cultures with high power distance, where you are taught never to challenge your superior, and a higher rate of plane crashes.
Because a co-pilot from a high-power distance culture might see a huge mistake and say something really subtle like, "Captain, perhaps we should reconsider this altitude."
Exactly. They might hedge. Instead of just yelling, "We're too low, pull up."
Wow.
And in a crisis, that hesitation, that cultural programming can be fatal. The culture dictates the communication style, and that can dictate the outcome, no matter how talented the individual pilot is.
So we have culture programming us, timing rewarding us, but what about the simplest part of it all? Just getting a chance, opportunity. If hard work isn't enough, what's the new formula?
Gladwell boils it down to a really simple equation. Opportunity plus preparation equals success. So many of the high achievers he profiles didn't just work hard. They were standing ready at the exact moment a systemic opportunity opened up. Think of the birth of the personal computer industry. That was a moment in time they couldn't control, but their preparation allowed them to seize it.
Which suggests your ambition shouldn't just be about improving yourself, but also about understanding the world and positioning yourself for when those doors open.
That's the real strategic insight.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the last big piece of the puzzle, the limits of raw intelligence. If all this other stuff is so important, how much does pure IQ really matter?
Right. We have this obsession with the idea of genius. But the book finds something really counterintuitive. After a certain point, let's say an IQ around 120 more IQ points, stop predicting real-world success. You're smart enough. Being even smarter doesn't necessarily help you more.
Exactly. Once you get over that basic competency hurdle, things like raw processing speed just aren't the deciding factor anymore. So the real question becomes, if everyone in the room is already smart, what actually matters?
And the answer the sources give is clear. It's things like social intelligence, strong communication skills, practical intelligence, knowing how to navigate people and systems.
Yes. All those things we sometimes dismiss as soft skills turn out to be the hard determinants of success in any complex organization. Success today isn't about solving an equation alone in a dark room. It's about convincing other smart people to help you build something. And that takes social skill, not just a high IQ.
And this is so empowering, I think, for you listening. It means that success isn't just for people with the highest test scores. It's for people who learn how to effectively operate within a social and cultural world.
The focus shifts completely. And then finally, Gladwell helps us pivot from just achievement money, fame, to actual fulfillment.
Yeah, he gives us a way to measure success that isn't just about your bank account. He argues that true success is tied to finding meaning in the work itself.
And the source material lays out 4 key things that lead to that kind of deep fulfillment. First is autonomy.
Yeah.
You need to have some control over your work.
Right. No one likes being micromanaged.
Second is complexity. The work has to be challenging enough to keep you engaged. If it's boring and repetitive, you'll stagnate.
Third is purpose. You have to feel like what you're doing actually matters. And the fourth is respect. The system, your community, has to value the effort you put in. If you can find work that has those 4 things, autonomy, complexity, purpose, and respect, you found real success.
So if we pull it all together, the book's strength is just. It's these eye-opening perspectives. It uses powerful storytelling to challenge these myths we all carry around about success.
It's so analytical, but we should also be balanced here and acknowledge some of the criticisms that the reviews mention. Because Gladwell is such a good storyteller, some of the ideas, like the 10,000-hour rule, can feel a bit oversimplified, maybe a little cherry-picked at times.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
And it's also important to remember that this is not a self-help book. It's descriptive, not prescriptive. It's explaining why some people succeed, not giving you a 5-step plan for how you can do it tomorrow.
So the final verdict is that this book is just genuinely mind-expanding. It changes your entire perspective. It doesn't tell you how to succeed, but it powerfully explains why success happens the way it does.
And after you engage with these ideas, you really do stop just idolizing individuals. You start to see the bigger system behind them. You see the legacy, the timing, the culture, the opportunity. You just become a much more sophisticated observer of the world.
And that was really our mission today, to give you that context, to make you more aware of all those invisible forces that are shaping achievement all around you.
So here's the final thought for you to take away, building on all this. If success is so deeply built on these things, on opportunity, on timing, on cultural legacy, and not just on pure individual grit, how does that change the way you look at the systems around you, at your own industry, the way we educate kids, the talent pipelines we build, the way we mentor people? Where are the hidden systemic cutoffs hiding right now?
Find those hidden opportunities. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.